How do women choose men? 10 science-based criteria introduction. We often hear that love is an emotion, that women choose men with their hearts, not their heads. But research in evolutionary psychology, behavioral biology, and modern sociology has shown that a woman's mate selection process is far from random. On the contrary, it is heavily influenced by biologically and psychologically grounded criteria, shaped over thousands of years of evolution to serve one fundamental purpose: the survival of the species, the protection of offspring, and the preservation of the woman herself. What's fascinating is that these criteria aren't confined to prehistoric times. They continue to operate subtly but powerfully in modern society. This series of articles analyzes each criterion that modern women, whether consciously or subconsciously, still use to assess and choose men. Each section dives into the scientific basis, real-world examples, and psychological meaning, helping you better understand why women choose one man over another. 1. Confidence, the foundation of male attractiveness. Confidence is not arrogance. It is the root of true masculinity. Women tend to be strongly drawn to confident men, not just as a matter of personal taste, but as a scientifically supported fact. However, confidence here is not simply about speaking loudly, walking boldly, or acting tough. It's a deep internal sense of stability. A man who knows his own worth, is not easily swayed by praise or criticism, knows what he wants, and expresses it appropriately. In a 2004 study by the University of Texas, psychologists asked a group of women to rate the attractiveness of men based on videos showing how they walked into a room, sat down, and interacted with a stranger. The results: men who displayed confident body language, steady posture, direct gaze, clear voice, relaxed smile were rated significantly higher, regardless of their looks or income. Why do women value confidence so highly? The evolutionary reasoning is clear. In primitive times, a confident man often held higher status within the group, had better access to resources, and was more capable of protection, all of which increased the survival chances of a woman and her children. Confidence was a strong signal of survival ability. In today's society, resources are no longer wild game or stone houses, but income, social influence, communication skills, and career direction. Confidence is how a man demonstrates that he is not threatened by the world and is ready to take charge. That's why a man with average looks but authentic confidence can be more attractive than a handsome man who is indecisive and timid. What does true confidence look like? Eye contact. A confident man makes direct eye contact, not staring, but steady and sincere. A voice. Clear, measured, without mumbling or forced gruffness. Confidence is speaking just enough. Not too loud, not too soft. A body language. Upright posture, open shoulders, no arm crossing, purposeful movements. He takes up space moderately, not puffed up, not shrinking. Decision-making, willing to make choices and take responsibility for them. Women sense this quickly, even in small matters like ordering food, setting appointments, or resolving conflict. How does lack of confidence hurt attractiveness? Insecure men often fall into two extremes: a shy, withdrawn, avoiding interaction, which makes women feel they have to lead the relationship, often leading to disinterest. Overcompensating, boastful, talking excessively, which signals insecurity and the need to prove worth. Women are highly sensitive to this fake confidence. True confidence comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and not needing to prove it to anyone. Can confidence be developed? The answer is yes. Confidence is not an inborn trait. It results from self-awareness, emotional mastery, and accumulated life experience. Here are some ways to build lasting confidence. Set small goals and complete them consistently creates a sense of life control. Engage in social activities like sports, clubs, or public speaking improves social skills. Learn to face fear of failure and others' judgment, because true confidence doesn't come from always succeeding, but from being willing to fail and keep going. Backhand index pointing right summary. Women don't choose men just because they speak well, look good, or drive nice cars. Confidence, if it comes from within, is a powerful signal that makes them feel safe, intrigued, and attracted. A confident man gives the impression that he won't run when things get tough, and he'll lead when I need him to. 2. Emotional intelligence, the silent weapon of an attractive man. Love doesn't only require logic, it demands empathy. When people talk about the ideal man, traits like strength, decisiveness, and confidence often come to mind. However, in long-term and meaningful relationships, one factor is becoming increasingly important, perhaps even decisive: emotional intelligence, EQ. Emotional intelligence is not about being soft or speaking gently to women. It's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, while also being able to read and appropriately respond to the emotions of others. Modern women are no longer only seeking men with looks or status. They desire someone who can connect with them emotionally, someone who understands, shares, and responds sensitively when they feel vulnerable. What is EQ and why is it so important? The term emotional intelligence was popularized by psychologist Daniel Goleman in the 1990s. He defined EQ with 5 core components: a self-awareness, recognizing your own emotions; a self-regulation, managing emotional responses appropriately; intrinsic motivation, persistently pursuing meaningful goals; empathy, sensing others' feelings and perspectives; a social skills, effectively communicating and maintaining relationships. A man with high EQ is aware of what triggers his anger or sadness, doesn't react impulsively, and can detect subtle emotional shifts in others, adjusting his behavior to avoid unnecessary conflict. EQ through a woman's eyes, invisible yet powerful attractiveness. Studies from Harvard, 2018, and the University of California found that women consistently rated emotionally intelligent men as more attractive and trustworthy, especially in the context of long-term relationships. Men with high EQ tend to know when to listen instead of argue, sense when a woman needs a hug more than advice, avoid being swept up in negative emotions during disagreements, build lasting emotional trust. For example, when a woman becomes distant, a man with low EQ might get angry, label her as cold, confusing, or disrespectful. A man with high EQ, however, might recognize that behind her coldness could be pain, exhaustion, or an unspoken fear. EQ shines the most during conflict. No one is perfect. In relationships, conflict is inevitable, but how conflict is handled determines the strength of the bond. Men with high EQ avoid saying hurtful things just to win arguments. Don't dodge issues, but also don't react impulsively. They know when to apologize, not necessarily because they're wrong, but because they respect their partner's feelings. Prioritize connection over ego. These are the types of men who make women feel emotionally safe, freed from the fear of emotional harm. And that sense of safety is often more important to women than physical protection. Empathy, an underrated but crucial skill. Empathy doesn't mean always agreeing. It means being able to see the world through someone else's eyes. A man with empathy doesn't say, "You're overreacting. It's not a big deal." He says, "You probably felt disrespected, right? Want to talk about it." This ability to acknowledge unspoken emotions makes women feel deeply loved, something wealth or looks alone can never replicate. High EQ helps men manage themselves better. Another reason women are drawn to emotionally intelligent men is their ability to manage negative emotions well. This means they don't easily lash out or become destructive under stress, aren't prone to jealousy or irrational suspicion, don't use emotions to manipulate or pressure others. This creates a sense of emotional stability, a critical foundation for women to open up and stay connected. EQ isn't weakness. It's true strength. A common misconception is that emotionally aware men are soft, needy, or unmanly. The reality is the opposite. High EQ requires inner strength to manage one's own emotions and be present with others. They understand anger but don't let it control their actions. They sense others' pain but don't collapse under it. That's emotional resilience, something modern women value more than anything. Can EQ be developed? The good news: EQ can absolutely be trained. Some effective ways to improve emotional intelligence include a mindfulness meditation, increases self-awareness and emotion regulation, a journaling emotions daily to understand internal reactions, reading books on communication and behavioral psychology builds empathy skills, a practicing delayed response, pause for 3 seconds before reacting to ask, "What's really happening inside me and the other person?" Backhand index pointing right conclusion. An attractive man isn't someone who's always right, always strong, or always witty. He is someone who knows when to be silent, when to listen, when to reach out, and when to take a step back to protect the feelings of the person he loves. Emotional intelligence isn't just a nice bonus. It is the foundation of meaningful connection and the fuel for lasting love. 3. A positive attitude and sense of humor, the emotional magnet of a charismatic man. No one wants to fall in love with someone who's always negative, and science backs that up. One of the most underrated yet powerful factors women use when choosing a partner is this: a man's positive attitude, sense of humor, and ability to generate uplifting energy around him. Psychological studies from the University of Kansas and Stanford University have both shown that women are strongly attracted to men with a good sense of humor, not just because they make them laugh, but because they create a sense of safety, comfort, and hope about life. Humor isn't about telling jokes. It's about how you see the world. When a man can turn an uncomfortable moment into something lighthearted, he is showing a woman that he can handle pressure, that he's not easily defeated by life, that he won't become an emotional burden in the future. This creates a natural form of attraction, not forced, not flashy. It's the kind of appeal that says, "I'll be okay with this man." What does science say about humor and romantic attraction? A landmark study from Stanford University, 2015, found that women's brains respond strongly to men who exhibit humor. When they hear a man share a funny story or ease a tense situation with lightness, their brains release dopamine, the same pleasure chemical triggered by chocolate or hugging a loved one. Researchers also found that women use a man's sense of humor as a signal to assess his intelligence, creativity, and social adaptability. Positivity doesn't mean being naive or denying reality. Having a positive outlook doesn't mean you always smile or pretend everything's fine. It means seeing light in the dark, finding something good in something bad, holding on to hope, even through loss. Women today don't need perfect men, but it's hard for them to commit to someone who is constantly negative, complains, or blames the world. A man who can't move past his past, who always thinks life is unfair, or who gets drained by minor frustrations, will emotionally exhaust a woman over time. Positive energy, an unspoken but powerful form of attraction. Ever walked into a room and immediately felt calm or energized because of someone there? Men with positive energy often don't complain about small things, make others feel at ease without trying, laugh at their own failures without being irresponsible, inspire those around them without preaching. This emotional magnetism makes women want to be near, to open up, and to share, because they feel, I won't be judged, I won't be dragged down, and I'll be uplifted. Humor helps navigate crisis and strengthens long-term bonds. In a 10-year survey by the American Psychological Association, when couples were asked what helped them survive hard times, a sense of humor was one of the top 3 answers, along with trust and communication. When life gets tense, the person who can crack a well-timed joke, playfully tease or laugh at the absurdity of fate, is the one who keeps the relationship from falling apart. Women often won't say this out loud, but deep down they choose the man who can make them laugh in a storm, not the one who lectures them when things get tough. Humor is also a sign of intelligence. Not everyone can be funny at the right time, in the right way, with the right person. A joke told out of place can backfire. But a man who can adjust his humor to the situation, read the mood, and respond with clever timing, that's someone with high emotional and social intelligence. That's why, on dating shows, the person who makes the strongest first impression isn't always the most handsome. It's the one who makes others laugh naturally and effortlessly. But what if I'm not funny? Can it be learned? The answer is yes, but not in the way you might think. You don't need to be a stand-up comedian or memorize punchlines. What you need is to laugh at your own failures and learn to retell them with a smile. Watch comedies or read witty authors, especially those with natural charm like Ricky Gervais, Jim Carrey, Conan O'Brien, but don't copy them rigidly. Observe charismatic people in real life, how they pause, use eye contact, and body language in conversations. To focus on making others feel comfortable rather than trying to be funny. Often, the most charming humor comes from authenticity and ease. Backhand index pointing right conclusion. Women don't need you to be perfect. They want someone who can make them smile when life gets messy. Someone who can look into chaos and say, it's okay, this too shall pass. And someone who makes them feel lighter just by being near. A positive attitude and sense of humor are not just bonus points. They're signs of emotional maturity and a deep well of resilience. And those are exactly the kinds of men women want to keep around. 4. The ability to protect and create safety, a primal instinct in women's mate choice. Safety is not weakness. It's a biological need. You might think modern women are independent, strong, financially self-sufficient, and capable of protecting themselves, and you'd be right. But deep within a woman's subconscious, what she still seeks in a man is the feeling of being protected, the comfort of being shielded when she's vulnerable, and the confidence that no matter how bad the storm gets, he will remain her solid wall. This isn't about weakness. It's about a survival instinct buried deep in the brain over millions of years. Biological perspective. The female brain is wired to scan for safety. According to research by Dr. David Buss, One of the leading experts in evolutionary psychology, women are naturally drawn to men who offer physical, financial, and emotional protection. Specifically, when in the presence of a man who is deep-voiced, walks firmly, has broad shoulders, the female brain activates regions associated with physical safety. Decisive, steady, and quick to act, her brain registers a reliable guide signal. Emotionally stable and self-regulated, her limbic system reads, "This man won't harm me." All of this happens within minutes of meeting, long before logic even kicks in. You don't need to be big or muscular, but you do need a protective presence. Women don't necessarily need a man who's 6 feet 1 inch, with six-pack abs or dragon tattoos. What they do need is someone who can make them feel like they're in a safe zone, whether out on the streets or crying at night. Signs of a protective presence include a not losing control when insulted, because men with quick tempers are perceived as dangerous. A not letting others disrespect the woman he loves. Ready to speak up when needed. To remaining calm during a crisis. Women carefully observe how you handle pressure. A staying present during conflict. Instead of walking away, he chooses to stay and resolve it. Emotional safety, the highest form of attraction. In a survey by Psychology Today involving over 1,000 women aged 25 to 45, when asked, "What makes you truly commit to a man long-term?" the most common answers weren't wealth or looks, but "I can be myself around him. I can cry, be angry, or vulnerable without being judged." This is emotional safety, a state where a woman feels she doesn't have to put on a show to be loved, she doesn't fear abandonment over natural human emotions, she is accepted even in her most imperfect moments. From protector to life partner, protection doesn't come from muscles or money. It comes from responsibility in words and actions. If you make a promise, you keep it. If you're unsure, don't create false hope. Presence in the most crucial moments. Not just during fun times, but when she's tired, anxious, or failing, you're still there. Anticipating risks and acting preemptively. For example, knowing she's about to burn out at work and proactively stepping in to help, or simply cooking dinner. This is how women assess whether you're a partner to journey through life with, or just someone for the moment. Women test your ability to create safety, often subconsciously. Ever wondered why she sometimes plays the damsel in distress? Or why she occasionally creates chaos just to see how you respond? Or why she says, "I'm fine," but her eyes tell a different story? That's how a woman's subconscious checks how safe you make her feel. Not to be difficult, but to gauge if you're emotionally strong enough to guard her inner world. If you want a woman to feel safe, start with yourself. You can't create safety for someone else if you're not secure within yourself. That means to emotional stability, you're not codependent or impulsive. Clear life direction, you're not aimless or drifting. Personal boundaries and principles, you're not easily manipulated, but still flexible when needed. Courage to say no and protect what matters, including the woman you love. Backhand index pointing right. Conclusion. The feeling of safety is not a luxury. It's the foundation of lasting love. A woman might be infatuated by a handsome face or attracted to wealth, but she will only give her heart to the man who makes her feel peaceful at night and stronger when by his side. If you can become that man, you don't need to win her over. She will choose you willingly. 5. Emotional intelligence and empathy. The emotional technology men need to truly connect with women. It's not IQ, but EQ that makes women stay. You might be extremely intelligent, successful at work, and capable of making sharp decisions, But if you can't understand a woman's emotions, you'll likely struggle in love. Women rarely leave a man because he isn't smart enough. They leave because he doesn't understand how they feel. When she's sad, he tries to fix the problem. When she's angry, he logicizes her emotions. When she's vulnerable, he says, don't overthink it. But what women need isn't a solution, they need empathy. And to offer that, you need EQ, emotional intelligence. What is EQ? Why is it so powerfully attractive to women? EQ, emotional quotient, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both your own and others. A man with high EQ will notice when a woman is sad even if she says nothing. Listen without interrupting or judging. Soothe emotions instead of escalating them. Remain calm, composed, and unaffected by others' emotional swings. Women are deeply drawn to emotionally intelligent men because they feel truly heard, fully accepted for who they are, gently healed from emotional wounds they may not even speak of. What does science say? EQ greatly enhances romantic appeal. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, 2015, found that women rated men with high EQ as more attractive sexually and emotionally because they felt safer sharing with them and more deeply connected. Additionally, research from the University of Texas confirmed high EQ is directly correlated with the ability to sustain long-term relationships. Men with higher emotional intelligence are less likely to engage in harmful behaviors like abuse, manipulation, or controlling tendencies. EQ is not innate, it's a skill you can develop. Many people think EQ is something you're born with, but in fact, it can be cultivated through 5 core competencies. Emotional self-awareness, knowing what you feel and why. A self-regulation, not letting emotions dictate your actions. Internal motivation, driven by inner values, not external rewards. Empathy, feeling what others feel as if it were your own. Social skills, communicating well, resolving conflict, and maintaining connections. These are the qualities women observe closely, even if they never say it aloud. Empathy, the emotional language women want you to speak fluently. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with everything. You don't have to understand exactly why she's crying or why she's upset. You just need to feel that she's hurting, tired, or overwhelmed. And instead of reacting, you simply stay present with kindness. Even a small sentence can carry great power. I may not fully understand, but I can tell you're really sad. I'm here.
No justifications.
No need to fix her. Just show up with presence and honest listening. To a woman, that's a priceless gift. Warning: low EQ is the silent killer of love. Here are signs of low emotional intelligence that wear women down. Dismissing her feelings with "you're overreacting," interrupting to inject logic instead of listening fully, losing control of your own negative emotions, ignoring nonverbal cues, tone, eye contact, body language. Even if you love her deeply, low EQ will slowly corrode the relationship because she'll feel lonely even while in love. Want to be an attractive man? Master your EQ. It's not designer clothes, a luxury car, or a fat bank account that makes a woman stay. It's EQ that makes her never want to leave. So practice listening without interrupting. Step into her emotional experience before passing judgment. Speak about your own feelings. Don't pretend to be the tough guy. Show up with kindness when she's most fragile. Backhand index pointing right. Conclusion. Emotional intelligence not only helps you understand women, it also helps you understand yourself. And when you can connect with others' emotions through deep empathy, You won't need tricks or tactics to keep a woman. She'll want to stay, because with you, she feels understood, accepted, and loved with genuine care. 6. Leadership and life direction. Women want to walk beside a man who knows where he's going. Women aren't looking for someone to command them. They're looking for someone to walk beside. Let go of the outdated belief that women always want a man who takes charge or gives orders. What they truly desire is a man with a clear vision and life direction, a man with the courage to make tough decisions, and most importantly, a man who leads with values, not control. This is why real leadership isn't about titles, money, or authority. It's about the strength of a man's inner compass. Science. Women respond positively to clear life direction. A 2018 study from the University of Missouri found women are strongly attracted to men who have clear life goals and are actively pursuing them. The female brain senses this through how you talk about the future, how you manage your time, career, and relationships, how you respond to setbacks or challenges. Consistency, purpose, and decision-making are the 3 key traits that activate areas of a woman's brain associated with trust and long-term attraction. You don't need to be highly successful, but you do need a clear vision. You don't need to be a CEO, a celebrity, or a startup founder. But you do need to know who you are, what you're doing, and where you're heading. A man with no direction, bouncing from one job to another, constantly switching careers, binge-watching Netflix, and scrolling endlessly, will make a woman feel uneasy, unwilling to invest long-term, and unable to trust that he can lead a shared future. Having a life vision means, do you have short and long-term personal goals? 1, 3, or 5 years? Do you know why you chose your current path? Not just because it pays. You may not have all the answers, but you're actively seeking them. Leadership isn't about giving orders, it's about guiding with values. True leadership in relationships doesn't look like control or dominance. It looks like this: standing firm when things fall apart, inspiring others through your actions, not your volume, and knowing when to lead and when to step back and listen. Real-life examples. During an argument, you don't storm off or try to win. You redirect the conversation toward resolution instead of blame. But when both of you face difficulties, you don't panic. You calmly find practical solutions. So when she's unsure about the future, you don't say, "Up to you." You help map out possibilities and build a shared path forward. Women trust men who make decisions and take responsibility. One of the most attractive male traits, according to women, is the ability to make clear, well-reasoned decisions and take full ownership of the outcome. This isn't authoritarianism, it's integrity. For example, if you promise to meet her at 7 but get stuck at work, you update her early, apologize sincerely, and suggest another time. You don't just disappear. If you propose taking the relationship to the next level, you have clear reasons, not just because it's been long enough. This kind of decisiveness makes a woman feel emotionally safe and confident in your leadership. The power to inspire, leading with your life energy. You've probably met men who aren't rich, famous, or particularly handsome, but still command respect, admiration, and loyalty. That's leadership powered by inner conviction, strong beliefs, consistent values, and a clear sense of purpose. Women are drawn to this type of man because with him, they don't just feel loved, they feel upgraded. Around such a man, a woman will feel inspired to become her best self, feel motivated to grow, and not feel dragged or left behind, but proudly walk beside him. Advice: want to attract women? Be the leader of your own life first. Don't try to convince anyone to follow you. Live with intention, act with purpose, and cultivate your inner strength. When you're grounded and know exactly what you stand for, women will feel safe putting their hand in yours because they'll know you're not wandering aimlessly. Backhand index pointing right. Conclusion. Leadership isn't about power. It's about responsibility, vision, and the ability to inspire through how you live. Modern women don't need someone to walk ahead. They need someone who knows where he's going so they can confidently walk beside him. 7. Communication and subtlety. The most attractive language is not what you say, but how you make her feel. Communication isn't about talking. It's about connecting. When it comes to dating, the deciding factor for women is often not looks, career, or bank balance, but how you make her feel. Does she feel heard? Does she feel respected? Does she feel safe to be herself? These feelings don't come from clever lines. They come from how you communicate with depth, sensitivity, and awareness. Science confirms good communication increases romantic attractiveness. A 2013 study from the University of Alaska showed women rated men with strong communication skills as more physically, emotionally, and sexually attractive. Why? Because they find it easier to open up and share. They feel that the man can read the room and social cues. They believe he won't hurt them with careless words. Strong communicators stand out in a crowd without having to raise their voices. A man with high EQ plus strong communication equals an invisible magnet. An attractive man doesn't need to talk much, but when he does, he says the right thing at the right time in the right way. The things that impress women most aren't compliments or pickup lines, but how you ask meaningful questions based on what she said, how you listen without interrupting or inserting your opinion, how you remember the little things she told you, how you gently lead the conversation without making it feel like an interview. This is the art of making someone want to keep talking, not making them feel you're trying to be smart. Subtlety, the silent language women always pick up on. Subtlety is the ability to notice what isn't said. She says, "I'm fine," but her eyes say she's about to cry. She acts strong, but you see the softness behind her smile. Subtle communication comes from reading facial expressions, tone of voice, gestures, to making eye contact with warmth and sincerity. Staying present without interrupting the emotional flow. Women don't need you to say, "I understand you." They need to feel that you're truly there and you genuinely care. Great communicators aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones others want to be around. Here are 5 signs of a man with truly attractive communication. 1. Active listening, and not just hearing words, but hearing the meaning. 2. Thoughtful pauses, giving space for her emotions to breathe. 3. Emotionally expressive language, not right/wrong, but "I feel," "I sense you might be." 4. Appropriate humor, knowing when to joke and when to stay quiet. 5. The ability to say "I'm sorry" without ego, and "thank you" for even the smallest things. Women don't rate these with logic, they feel them on a deeper level. Communication in a relationship isn't about talking, it's about emotional connection. Good communication is the foundation of every lasting relationship. Many couples don't break up because they stop loving, but because they stop connecting through words. Every conversation becomes an argument, nobody listens. They're just waiting to respond. Deep topics are avoided, replaced with shallow updates. When a man knows how to talk about his feelings with honesty and creates space for a woman to be fully herself, the relationship grows naturally. How to become a more engaging communicator with women. Read books about gender-based communication, e.g., Men are from Mars, Women are from Venus. Practice non-judgmental listening. Listen to understand, not to reply. Learn nonviolent communication, NVC, instead of, "You make me feel ignored." Say, "I feel distant," when respond with feelings, not logic. Ask open-ended questions that invite depth. Communication is a skill, and those who master it hold the advantage in love, friendship, and life. Backhand index pointing right. Conclusion. Women aren't drawn to men who talk a lot. They're drawn to men who make them want to speak their hearts. A man who can truly communicate builds connection, earns trust, and nurtures emotional intimacy. And that is the kind of bond that lasts. 8. Honesty and trustworthiness. Women love through trust, not by taking risks. Women don't need a perfect man. They need one who is consistent and honest. Women may forgive clumsiness, financial struggles, or a messy past. But there are two things they find hard to forgive: dishonesty and inconsistency between words and actions. This isn't just about ethics. It's about emotional safety, the core element that allows a woman to open her heart and give herself fully. What does science say about trust in relationships? A 2014 study from the University of Texas found women rank trustworthiness as the top priority when deciding whether to commit to a man long-term. The reason is simple. Men can attract with looks, success, or charm, but only honesty keeps a woman's heart. Because when a woman invests emotionally, giving her time, energy, and vulnerability, she does so only when she feels completely safe to do so. Trust isn't about saying the right thing. It's about living what you say. This distinction is critical. Saying, "I'll call you back," but never calling equals untrustworthy. Promising, "I'll change," but repeating the same mistake 3 times equals major red flag. Acting loving but disappearing when she needs you equals insincere. Honesty isn't a one-time confession. It's long-term alignment between your words and your behavior. Women test trust not to control but to protect themselves. Many men feel annoyed when women ask detailed questions about plans, want clarity about your relationships, to notice small inconsistencies when you bend the truth. But this isn't about control. It's self-protection. Women have strong intuition. If something feels off, they'll instinctively pull away. If you're honest, transparent, and consistent, they will trust you completely without needing constant reassurance. Honesty isn't confessing everything. It's not misleading. Being honest doesn't mean you must disclose every detail of your life. But whenever a question is asked or trust is placed in your hands, you must choose integrity. Examples: if an ex contacts you, you don't need to give a play-by-play, but you shouldn't lie or hide it if asked. If you've failed in the past, share it openly. It makes you more human, not less valuable. Women aren't seeking perfect men. They want someone who can face their own truth without shame. Trustworthiness is the foundation of all mature relationships. You can make a woman laugh in 5 minutes, but it takes months for her to feel truly safe with you. Being trustworthy creates a sense of peace when she's with you, confidence that you won't disappear during hard times, a relaxed state where she doesn't have to monitor, doubt, or control. When a woman stops questioning you, that's when she begins to love you deeply. A trustworthy man isn't always right, but he's always accountable. No one gets it right all the time, but when he's wrong, he owns it without excuses. When he breaks a promise, he apologizes and corrects it. When something goes wrong, he faces it instead of running away. Women value emotional courage more than smooth words or superficial confidence. How to become a man women trust deeply. Always keep your promises, even the small ones. Don't build unrealistic expectations if you can't follow through. Be transparent without oversharing. Admit mistakes honestly, apologize without defending. Be consistent. How you act today should match how you act tomorrow. Backhand index pointing right. Conclusion. Women don't need a man who promises to protect them forever. They need a man whose every word doesn't require a doubt. Honesty and trustworthiness aren't just virtues. They're the deepest and most lasting form of attraction you can build. Because in the end, what keeps a woman isn't just love, it's trust. 9. A sense of humor and the ability to soothe emotions. Because no woman wants to love a source of tension. Humor isn't about being a clown. It's emotional connection made lighter. Being funny isn't just about making jokes. It's an emotional language that softens defenses and opens hearts. Women are attracted to those who make them laugh, but only when the laughter comes at the right time, in the right way, with the right sensitivity. The right kind of humor doesn't just break tension. It creates a safe and joyful emotional space. What does science say? A Stanford University study found women tend to associate humorous men with intelligence, creativity, and trustworthiness. Because humor is a sign of high social intelligence. It shows flexibility in handling difficult situations. It reveals emotional agility. And most importantly, it shows you don't take yourself too seriously. Real humor isn't a performance. It's a reflection of an emotionally lighthearted mindset. Humor is a remedy for tension and strengthens relationships. In long-term relationships, there will be times when she gets upset over small things, tension builds over a misunderstanding, or life just becomes emotionally overwhelming. In such moments, a man who can gently defuse the situation, not by avoiding it, but by lightening the emotional load, is someone she'll feel deep gratitude for. Not through sarcasm or denial, but through a subtle joke, an unexpected hug, a clumsy but endearing remark. That's the art of emotional relief, not emotional avoidance. Humor doesn't come from your mouth. It comes from your mindset. Many men believe they're not funny because they can't crack jokes. They don't tell great stories. They're not witty like others. But the truth is, humor isn't a performance skill. It's a way of being. If you can laugh at yourself, if you see the light side of life, if you can joke with timing and care, you'll always be more attractive than someone who's perpetually serious like a boardroom meeting. The ability to calm emotions, an underrated superpower that melts grown women. Emotionally mature women don't look for men who just sound impressive. They look for someone they can breathe around, someone who can ground them when they feel lost or anxious. An ideal man is someone who stays calm when she's emotionally overwhelmed, doesn't fight back with logic, but instead offers presence, knows how to guide her emotional state from chaos to calm, with kindness, not force. This is high-level EQ, not just knowing how to be funny. Caution. Poorly timed humor equals instant emotional disconnect. Certain types of humor will shut women down immediately, making fun of others just to get laughs. Jokes about appearance, gender, or cultural stereotypes. Excessive self-deprecation. I'm ugly, but you still love me. Joking during a serious or emotional moment. Humor at the wrong time isn't just unfunny. It's a sign of immaturity and emotional insensitivity. Real humor creates emotional safety, not emotional harm. How to naturally develop a healthy sense of humor. Reframe issues through a more relaxed lens. Watch comedies or stand-up that balance wit and heart. Surround yourself with people who have light energy. Practice soft responses in tense moments, e.g., I don't know whether to explain or pour wine and apologize first. Ask, will this joke make her feel better or just make me feel clever? Backhand index pointing right conclusion. Women don't need a clown to laugh with. They want a man who can make them smile when they feel like crying. A sense of humor and the ability to calm emotions doesn't come from being a performer. It comes from emotional intelligence, sensitivity, and a heart that truly cares. And that kind of charm never goes out of style. 10. Clear goals and passion for life. Women don't choose perfect men. They choose men headed in the right direction. A man's greatest attraction doesn't lie in his destination, but in his drive to keep moving forward. Women may not fully understand your goals. They may not care how much money you make, how many degrees you have, or what field you're in. But they are deeply drawn to a man who knows what he wants and is actively building his life around it. A man with direction and genuine passion for life possesses a magnetic pull. Why? Because he doesn't need a woman to fill a void. Because his life has meaning and momentum. And most of all, because he has value in his own eyes. What women fear most: men who drift, living day by day. A mature relationship requires two people who grow together. But if you don't know what you want, you're afraid to commit to any path, you always complain, procrastinate, or blame others, then no matter how handsome, smart, or nice you are, you won't be emotionally safe or inspiring to a woman. She won't distance herself because you're not successful. She'll distance herself because she sees no sign that you will ever grow. Having clear goals is not pressure, it's a sign of inner strength. Many men mistakenly believe, once I become successful and rich, I'll have more romantic options. But in truth, what women admire isn't the end result. It's the journey you're committed to. A man who knows what he's building, and knows why it matters, and is willing to pay the price to pursue it, emits a focused life energy that women instinctively feel. Passion for life equals having something that excites you to get out of bed in the morning. Few things are more disheartening than a man who has no fire in his soul, no interests, no curiosity, no ambition. Evenings filled only with TV, beer, and scrolling endlessly. Meanwhile, modern women are incredibly sensitive to a lack of drive. They don't want to love someone who feels empty inside while pretending to be busy outside. Passion doesn't have to be about launching a startup or saving the world. Could be reading, cooking, martial arts, hiking, playing guitar, writing. What matters most? Do you have something that makes your eyes light up when you talk about it? Men with life direction have a natural gravitational pull. You don't need cheesy lines. You don't need to prove you're worthy. Just love what you do. Embrace the struggle. Keep growing and own your inner worth. Women will want to enter your world, not to change it, but to walk beside you. Sustainable attraction comes from clarity, not from promises. Women don't need to hear, I'll take care of you, I'll buy us a house, I'll change someday. They just want to see you putting in real effort, with a plan, commitment, and discipline, and most importantly, that your inner fire doesn't go out, even when things get tough. How to build passion and direction in your life. They ask, if no one judged me, what kind of life would I truly want to live? Start with small goals, realistic, measurable, with deadlines. Find what makes you forget time when you do it. Surround yourself with people who have clarity, not those who've given up. Reduce distractions, less empty entertainment, more real experiences. Backhand index pointing right conclusion. Women don't need men who've already made it. They choose men who are intentionally growing. That man may not have much right now, but he has fire. And few things are more attractive than a man who's burning with purpose. Because when you live with passion and clear goals, you don't just add value to your own life. You make the woman beside you feel like her life is moving forward too. Blue Book to summarize the entire article. Women choose men not based on fantasy, but on science-backed emotional and psychological signals. If you cultivate self-awareness, emotional intelligence, resilience, and direction, you won't need to chase love. Love will naturally be drawn to you.